Hi book friends, it's Michelle again here. Today I wanted to just talk to you about the books that I read in the month of June. It's already July. I can't believe how fast the year is going. And yeah, I hope you all had a great reading month in June. Mine was a mixed bag, the good, the bad, and the very mid. So here's what I read. The first book I thought I'd pick up was a recommendation from a fellow booktuber, as well as many other people who absolutely love this book. And the book I'm talking about is Recursion by Blake Crouch. Now, previously, I had read and loved Blake Crouch's book, Dark Matter. In fact, it remains one of my favorite kind of futuristic sci-fi-ish books that I've ever read. So I was really excited to pick this one up. However, things did not go as I expected. I ended up DNFing this book. Why? Well, for starters, I found that there was just not enough plausibility to this whole setup of this scenario. This story revolves around a scientist named Helen. She's a younger woman when we meet her in this book, and her mission in life is to find a cure for Alzheimer's and dementia, which is affecting a close family member of hers. So she, along with a bunch of other scientists, are in this remote offshore research facility where they're conducting all types of research on how to manipulate the brain and where the brain stores memory and how to develop new methods of finding a cure, I guess, is what they're trying to accomplish. Meantime, we're also following a police detective who is investigating cases where this virus that's going around is affecting people's memory in that they lose their own memories and take on the memories of other people. These memories are so vivid and so realistic to the victims affected by this virus that some of them end up taking their own lives. So it's a horrible plague on society. And this detective is investigating a couple cases. He himself ends up being kidnapped by this group that we don't know what they're up to, but they have something to do with this ongoing memory manipulation and kind of a disease that's affecting people. So yeah, I just found that this demanded too much suspension of my disbelief. I didn't buy into it. I didn't buy into the people's motivations, or the science itself didn't make any sense to me. Like, I couldn't really get on board with it. So it was just a little bit too fantastical for my imagination, I guess. I don't know. And upon, I track my reads on Goodreads. And then when I went to update my reading of this book, I found that I had previously attempted to read it a couple years ago and also DNF'd it. So yeah, I guess this was my second go round at this book, and I really, really wanted to love it. I just couldn't buy in. I think I DNF'd at about, just over the halfway mark. So yeah. I don't want to dissuade anybody by saying that it wasn't for me. I think a lot of people would love this book. It's very well written. So nothing against the author or the creative story that he's telling with his book. It just wasn't for me. So started the month with my DNF. Surprise DNF. I did not expect that. Next book I read was a book that I was disappointed in. It had been on my shelf for years and years, but I'm happy I finally read it, and that is The Nightingale by Kristin. I gave it 1 out of 5 stars. Moving on. The next book I read after that was one that I was really highly anticipating, because the last book I read from this author I loved. The last book I read from her, I'm talking about Marcy Dermansky, and the book I read was Hurricane Girl, which I loved. It was fantastic. So I was really excited to read Hot Air also by Marcy Dermansky. This is her newest book. And in this book, we're following, I think it's about 2021. It's just kind of in the middle of the pandemic. This lady named Joni, and she's a single mom. She finally goes on a date, and she's sitting in poolside at her date's house. Her name is Joni. Her date's name is Jimmy, I believe. And so Joni and Jimmy are sitting by the pool while his young son and her young daughter are inside the house playing. And they're having a lovely evening. Things are getting kind of romantic. And then all of a sudden, a hot air balloon drops out of the sky and lands in the swimming pool. In the hot air balloon are a married couple named Julia and Jonathan. They're very rich. They're dripping with jewels. They're very well dressed. They're drinking champagne when their hot air balloon fell out of the sky and landed in Jimmy's swimming pool. What ensues is a crazy weekend where these four adults engage on kind of like a wild, I don't even know how to describe it, but just the fact that they all had similar names, Joni, Jimmy, Julia, and Jonathan, and the two men were kind of similar in character, I found them hard to keep up with. We read from a devoted chapter of each of the characters, and I know what she was trying to do with this book. Like, it's an exploration of kind of relationships and how people were feeling during the pandemic times and loneliness and so on. But yeah, it just didn't work for me. It just felt very disingenuous, kind of. Along that, coupled with really despicable characters, not that I have anything against that. I love really despicable characters sometimes, but yeah, this didn't work for me at all. And yeah, I was disappointed. I read it because it's a short little slip of a book, so I don't regret reading it, but I gave it 2 stars. Next book I read was one I've been meaning to get to for quite a few years now, and that is The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. If you've ever read any Toni Morrison, you need no explanation. Her writing is just sublime. She just has a way with words that is unique to her, and I find her books really engaging and really addictive. This particular book, we're following the life of a young girl named Piccola and her friends. Now, she's not the narrator in this story. So her next door neighbor kids, 2 little girls she's friends with, are telling the story. And it deals with really heavy themes of racism and self-esteem and poverty and class and really big themes that Toni Morrison is known for writing about. And it's really, really heartfelt. I did find it difficult, though. It's difficult both in that there are some scenes of abuse and very hard, awful things that happen in here, as well as the way it was written, the different perspectives and the leaps back and forth. And at some times I found it confusing, a little bit disjointed, so I had to reread back and figure out who we were following. So yeah, or who I was following in the book, rather. So, I mean, it was lovely. I really enjoyed this read. The fact that it was difficult maybe made it not as fun, not as entertaining as I had hoped it would be, but I'm still glad I read it. I gave this one 3 out of 5 stars. And I look forward to more Toni Morrison in the future. The next book I read was one of the ones that I had in my library haul that I filmed a video about a couple videos ago, if you're interested to check that out. But I had been feeling, after my previous books, a little bit slumpy, so I was hoping out of the pile I got from the library, I'd find a couple that were really great. And this one just totally worked for me. This is Holiday Country by Inci Atrek. In this book, we're following a young girl named Ada. Ada is 19 years old. Her parents have recently split up due to her father cheating on her mother. Her father is in the tech industry. I think this is in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. They live in Northern California, Palo Alto, California, and her dad is always away for work, and he has this affair, and so her parents' marriage is basically over. And every summer, since she can remember, she has gone to Turkey with her mother. Her mother is Turkish, and they stay at this little beachside villa that her grandmother owns, along with her grandmother, and it is just another world. I've never traveled to that part of the world, but it is so vividly drawn in this book. You can just imagine being there, which I loved. The Mediterranean Sea, the sand, the, terracotta buildings, and the small little beachside village has the air of a resort, although there's not really any tourists there. It's all locals and people who come there to vacation over the summer, and they all know each other. They all know each other's business. There's a little store where they buy all their food and alcohol and everything, and they don't even pay for stuff. The shop owner's son writes their names and IOU in a ledger, and they pay at the end of the summer. Like, they walk around in bathing suits all day and put on some clothes at night to go dancing in the local restaurants and drinking, and it is just fantastic. So understandably, Ida loves spending the summers at this place. But, as her mother is going through this with her father, Ida wants her mom to be happy again. So, when this story happens, they're spending the summer there with her grandmother and all the neighbors and everybody. And one day, this man from her mother's childhood shows up. And Ada can tell that there's some history there between them. This man's in his 50s. He's very attractive, very charismatic, and very mysterious. So immediately, Ada feels drawn to him. She's not sure what's going on. Is it her own feelings of attraction for this guy? Is it the mystery surrounding how he knows her mother and grandmother? They're all connected. And so she embarks on a mission to help quell her mother's loneliness and make her mother happy. And, Ada really wants to live in Turkey at this place on a full-time basis. She's kind of torn. She has friends and she has a boyfriend back in California who goes to Stanford, but she loves life in this Turkish beach town so much that she really wants her mother to develop a relationship with this man so that they can live there full time. So that's her mission. What ensues is a big reveal about halfway through the book that completely changes the trajectory of Ada's relationships with her mother, with her grandmother, with the people in the town. Everything is upended. So this is a lot more than meets the eye. I was expecting it to be like a light, fluffy kind of summer romance book. It's that, but it's got way more intensity, way more meat on its bones than just a lighthearted romance. It is pretty hefty. And Ada is so intelligent. You know who she reminds me of? She's got the intellect of a character like a Rory Gilmore, if you ever have seen Gilmore Girls. She's that type of a girl that you just want to root for, and you respect her thoughts because she's so smart and she's so caring about other people. She's a very likable protagonist. This is told from her perspective only, and you know what's happening with the other characters because it's like you're eavesdropping on their conversations and you're getting Ada's inner monologue as well. So it's a really fantastic way of telling this story. I loved this book. Initially gave it 4 stars. The longer it sat with me, I'm leaning more toward 5. I absolutely love this book. So this is my recommendation of this summer. If this is the only book you read, I hope you won't be disappointed because I love this one. So things turned around in my June reading after I read that book. And they only got better when I picked up my next book, which was Look at Me by Jennifer Egan. I love Jennifer Egan's writing. I read A Visit from the Goon Squad. I also have 2 other of her books, Manhattan Beach and The Candy House. I thought I had read Candy House, but it turns out I haven't read it yet. It's just been on my shelf for so long. I think I just assumed I have already read it when I haven't. So yay, I have that to look forward to. This book was a wild ride, wickedly fun, but yet really deep and really interesting, well fleshed out characters, and unique to her writing style. Like she, yeah, I don't even know what to say, but we're following in this book a former model named Charlotte who gets in a bad car accident, has reconstructive surgery on her face. She's got 80 screws in her face, titanium screws, and it's her healing journey, how she goes back to the small town in Illinois where she's from and starts to rebuild her life from there. We're also following her longtime best friend, Ellen, who's also still living in this small town where she's from, and Ellen's brother, who is a kind of defamed professor. He is highly intelligent, but he got in some trouble when he started doing dangerous experiments involving creating bombs and so on. And he was arrested, went to jail. He's got this criminal history, so he is a very interesting character. We also follow Ellen's daughter, also named Charlotte, who is at that stage of puberty where she's really curious about men and boys, and she's trying all kind of different rebellious things, and she's kind of heading toward trouble. So we're following her, and that's really interesting. She gets involved with one of her teachers at the school, and yeah. We're also following her teacher, this man that she gets involved with, his story, and how all these threads are interconnected, all these lives. It is so interesting. The one thing that really keeps you reading is that throughout this story, you don't know how the car accident happened. That's kind of in the background. So what keeps you reading is that you want to find out, how did this car accident even happen in the first place? Along with following the journey of Charlotte, the adult, and Charlotte's child, the daughter of Ellen. Moose, this professor who was building bombs and got himself in all kind of trouble, as well as this teacher who is, carrying on an illicit affair with a teenage girl. So there's that. This was so well written, so spellbinding. I couldn't stop turning pages. I just had to know what was going to happen next. Yeah, this was a 4 out of 5 star read for me. So I really loved this book, and it was a great way to wrap up the month of reading. So there you have it. All the books I read in the month of June, some not so good, some great. It was a mixed bag, and I didn't read all the library books that I took out, but I just wanted to have a big stack so that I would have a really good chance of finding a couple I really loved, and I did. So it was worth it. I was really happy with the couple books that I really loved. So thanks for watching, and I hope you had a great month as well. Looking forward to July, which should be interesting. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.